Hey there, let's get started with Session 7. The topic of Session 7 is test taking. Now, everybody at some point in time has had to take a test. And everybody at some point in time probably had to prepare for a test. You'll do a lot of that in college. And so here we are, going to learn about test taking. Now, in order to take a test, you need to also know how to study. So that's where we're going to begin Session 7. Activity 1 is a study tips journal. When you go to Activity 1, Study Tips Journal, you're going to see you need to grab some paper and something to write with because you're going to watch this short video on scientifically based study tips. When you're watching this video, you're going to try to figure out which 3 of the scientifically based tips that the video shares with you, you plan to use. Now remember, when you are doing a journal, you need to format correctly. So I'm going to show you here. You're going to highlight this section, right click, copy, and then click Start or Edit My Journal Entry. When you do that, you're going to right-click and paste into the entry box. Now, which 3 study tips do you plan to use is the question you're trying to answer first. So, the first tip that you decide on will go right beside the number 1. The second tip that you decide on will go beside the number 2, and so forth. Under the question, why do you need to apply this tip to your life? You're going to put your response in complete sentence form and explain why you think you need to use that tip. Remember, your entries, the items that you type, need to be in a different color font. When you're done, you're going to hit the blue Save Changes button. Remember, you need to proofread. You need to make sure that you're using complete sentences and you're writing in semi-paragraph form. You're going to need more than a sentence or 2 to earn full credit for the journals. Moving on from study tips, we're going to go into the test-taking tip sheet document. As a reminder, the test-taking tip sheet is a 100-point assignment. So this does have a lot of bearing on your final course average. So you're going to want to make sure that you give this assignment the effort and energy it deserves. This is going to be a template document that you are asked to make a copy of. When you get to this document, you are going to see the directions at the top. The first step is to do research on the following types of tests that you may see during a college exam. So those are multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank, short answer, and matching. Now, depending upon what program or what type of courses you take, you may see more or less of one of these. You're going to report your research on each type of test. So, for example, using the information that I gained from researching true, false tests or true, false questions, I am going to record some tips on the right-hand side. My tips are going to go here. So what I'm going to do on the right-hand side is I'm going to list some tips that I have learned will help me answer true, false questions. Remember, the information that I insert here needs to be in a different color font. You can write this in full sentence form or you can bullet. It's totally up to you, depending upon what you want to format. Where you gain your research from needs to be reported. So you will just simply copy and paste the URL of the website that you read about the true-false test questions, and you will paste into the box on the right beside URL for true-false information. You will do the same thing for multiple choice. Now remember, when you're doing this research, it's totally fine for you to use Google. This is not a strict English course, so I am totally fine with you Googling how to answer multiple choice questions correctly, or tips in answering multiple choice questions on a test. So those are two examples of search terms that you can use when you are using Google to help you complete this assignment. Whenever you get to the website that you do your research on for each type of these test questions, you're going to just copy and paste the web address. So I should never see Google typed in here, because that is not a URL for finding answers for this particular test taking tip sheet. You're going to actually copy and paste the URL of the actual website that you got your information from. And if you need assistance with that, please send me an email. I'll be happy to help you. Once you get to the end of identifying tips for each type of question that you might see on a college test, you're going to get to the reflection portion. There are 3 sections here that is asking you to reflect on your research. Be mindful that each one of these questions are worth 10 points. So 30 points total will be counted for your reflection. I want to remind you of this because this needs to be fully answered, explained thoroughly, in complete sentences using paragraph form. Make sure that you are proofreading and rereading before you submit this assignment. Going back to session 7, I want to remind you that you still have access to the advisor meeting assignment, part 1, part 2, and part 3. You need to make sure that you are taking a little bit of time each week and working to get that assignment completed, because as a reminder, it is due in session 8. As always, reach out if you have questions. I'm here to help you. I don't want you to be confused or concerned. I want you to feel like you can email me at any time, no matter what time of day. And I promise you that I will respond to your email, and I will either answer it in email or we can set up a video chat. Have fun learning all about test taking.